Hello and a warm welcome. You're watching Commodity Central, and on this special edition today, we are celebrating International Milk Day. Observed every year on the 1st of June, this day highlights the importance of milk as a global food, its role in nutrition, livelihoods and the dairy industry. From farm to fridge, milk plays a crucial role on ensuring food security and supporting rural economies worldwide. From childhood nutrition to economic backbone, milk touches our lives in more ways than one. On International Milk Day, we recognize the value of this humble drink and the dairy farmers who bring it to our tables every single day. But remember, it's just not a kitchen essential, rather it's a big business. We put the spotlight on $900 billion global dairy industry today, the challenges the industry is facing and its growing role in sustainable agriculture. Have a look at this special report.
Milk is more than just a beverage in India. It's a tradition, a livelihood, and for millions, it's a daily ritual. Dairy is the single largest agricultural commodity, contributing 5% to India's national economy and directly employs more than 8 crore farmers. India's prominence in the dairy sector is global, as it ranks first in milk production, contributing 25% to world's total milk output. From farm to table, milk nourishes India's people, economy and spirit. But India's dairy dominance was not always a given. It began with the White Revolution in the 1970s, also known as Operation Flood, which was spearheaded by Dr. Varghese Kurin and aimed at increasing milk production in India and transforming India from a milk-deficient nation to a global dairy leader. The White Revolution involved developing dairy cooperatives and improving milk procurement and distribution. Within India's dairy sector, there are 22 milk federations, 240 district cooperative milk unions, 28 marketing dairies and 24 milk producer organizations. These organizations encompass approximately 230,000 villages and include 18 million dairy farmers as members, based on the latest data available. And Uttar Pradesh is the top milk producing state in India, followed by Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh. But the path is not without hurdles. Low productivity per animal, inefficient production practices, feed and fodder availability, rising input costs, and dominance of unorganized sector have been some of the concerns for India's dairy industry. But the trend is fast changing. 25% to 30% of milk is processed into value-added products. Flavored milk, cheese, yogurt, paneer being the fastest growing segments. Urban demand is now shifting towards protein-rich dairy products. As the world celebrates International Milk Day, dairy sector stands at a turning point with technology, innovation and policy support that will drive the industry from here on. The glass of milk is not just full, it is brimming with potential. So next time you sip that glass of milk, remember, it's not just nutrition. It's a story of resilience, revolution, and rural empowerment.
That's how India's dairy industry is positioned at the moment. But to take this conversation forward, we now have Mr. Manish Bandlish, Managing Director at Mother Dairy, along with Mr. R.S. Sodhi, President of Indian Dairy Association, now joining us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now. And Mr. Sodhi, let me come to you first. From 17 million tons, just 17 million tons of dairy production in 1950, it has now risen to about 230 million tons. Since you have been in the industry for the last so many decades, help us understand how has the industry evolved over the last 50-55 odd years, and how do you expect the landscape to shape up for the next few years?
Well, first of all, Ashisha, thank you ET Now for celebrating World Milk Day. And every Indian whether you are in urban or rural, feel very proud of one factor all over the world is that we are world largest producer of milk. And like you mentioned, 50 years back, we were only 21, 22 million metric ton, a milk deficit country. And this achievement we achieved ourselves, whether it's the technology or the structures or the marketing, Indians are achieving it. And coming back to this present scenario and future, I can tell you, if you take last 10 years, our production of milk has grown by 77%. That is around from 135 million metric ton to 240 million metric ton. Or you can say one USA milk production has been added in last 10 years. And if you look forward next 10 years, the way we are growing at the rate of 5 to 6%, we'll be reaching to the around 425 million metric ton, which means one Europe and one New Zealand will be added in next 10 years as far as milk production is concerned. And today, 80 million rural families are dependent partially or fully on dairy income, around 14 lakh crore per annum. So it is the one of the biggest source of income for our rural India. It's growing every day.
Source of income for rural India, and that is growing every day. That's the word coming in. But Mr. Manish, let me also get you in the conversation. And now that the next generation is becoming more health conscious, are we now seeing shift in consumer preferences towards healthier versions of milk? I believe Mother Dairy too recently launched a pro range of products. How has the acceptance been so far?
The consumer preferences are shifting towards healthier lifestyle. They are definitely seeking a very healthy and let's say nutritious food, and let it be dairy sector or let it be any other sector. So especially after COVID, I think a lot of customers are looking at alternatives which can give them much better quality products. And dairy being the sector which is very, very well organized in that aspect, I think we are seeing multiple demands from our customers. And from that perspective, we launched this Pro Milk very recently in Delhi NCR, which, as you rightly said, is giving 30% extra protein. The mainstay of this particular product is that the customer does not have to change their lifestyle in any way. They can just replace their regular milk with Pro Milk and get that extra 30% protein in their regular diet. The taste remains the same and the eating habits remain the same. It's just that it's a top up of your daily protein need. So we're getting a very good response initially, and we hope to take this up in other markets and also take it up in Delhi NCR to greater heights.
So several dairy companies are now coming up with healthier options. But Mr. Sodhi, if you could tell us, how is the industry responding to the shift in consumer preferences, especially plant-based and vegan options that are now available?
Well, this plant-based or vegan, there are two types of products. One is the real plant-based product where you're not adding any other synthetic material. I mean, whether you take oats or soya or gram or chana, you grind it and you use it as a pure product. But I have seen lots of synthetic or fake plant-based alternatives that come, which are basically manufactured in the plants by using artificial material, chemically mixed, artificially flavored, artificially fortified, and artificial color. With, I mean, practically 1/10 of the nutrition of the real milk, but 2 times or 3 times more costly, and moreover, not very tasty. So what I feel, definitely there is a scope for plant-based or vegan products, but real natural products like milk. But when you come to the artificial or synthetic or processed plant-based, those products are not having future. And you can see in the Western country, USA or Europe, now
demand for these products has started declining. Gradually, customer is understanding when natural product is available at one third of the cost. Why should I buy artificial or synthetic product at double the cost?
Be careful of artificial and adulterated products that are being sold in the market. That's the word coming in. But Mr. Manish, coming back to you then, how has the trend of availability and price of input costs been over the last few years, fodder and other inputs as well? And how is Mother Dairy supporting dairy farmers given that input prices have been volatile over the last few quarters?
Sure. See, Mother Dairy has completed 50 years of existence and is a wholly owned subsidiary of National Dairy Development Board. From that perspective, we have always been engaged in uplifting the life of our farmers. We have over 1 million farmers who are connected to us through our cooperative sector. And on a daily basis, our inputs to those farmers are to uplift their lifestyle, to make sure that the cattle health and productivity increases. Multiple inputs are given to our farmers in that aspect, including fodder support in terms of artificial insemination, sex-sorted semen technology, etc. So when you look at this aspect, I think Mother Dairy is a very responsible organization helping our farmers to grow. And on a daily basis, we are collecting upwards of 6 million liters of milk every day. From that perspective, I think Mother Dairy is taking strides in terms of expanding its reach and distribution, as well as the quality of milk which is coming to us through regular inputs to our farmers.
Okay, and let's also get Mr. Sodhi's thoughts on the pricing trend as far as milk is concerned over the last few years, especially when compared to average food inflation. And where do you see milk prices headed from here on?
Well, Ashitaji, as far as the price trend of
milk or milk products is concerned, I can very confidently say the price of milk and milk products have been lower, increases lower than the average food inflation or any other packed or processed food product. Reason is simple. Indian dairy supply chain is the most efficient supply chain in the world, where Indian manufacturers, whether in cooperative or private, they are able to pass on 70 to 80% of the price realized from the consumer to the farmers for whom dairy is a source of livelihood. And with present trend, I feel because in India production is increasing and India needs to increase its consumption also. So price of dairy products will not increase in a way it used to increase in the past. Rather, Indian manufacturers and the processors and the farmers are looking for increased consumption of milk and milk products because our production is growing. If we increase product prices much more than what consumer can afford, so consumption will reduce. And if consumption will reduce, the farmer's income will reduce. So what farmers is looking for, how to reduce the cost of milk production, cost of per liter of milk being produced by the farmer.
Despite coming in for consumers, milk prices are not expected to increase substantially going forward. But Mr. Manish, since you touched on the point of quality checks in your earlier answer, let's also scratch that point further. How does Mother Dairy and the industry ensure that the right quality of milk is sourced from farmers and cooperatives and that the right quality of milk actually reaches the consumer?
See, we have multiple levels of checks that we do as an organization, right at the point of milk collection, which is at the farmer level. We have Sahayak, as we call them, sitting right at the village level. They do the first check at the village level itself, and within the next 1 or 2 hours, that milk is sent to our collection center, chilling center, where the milk is immediately cooled down to 4 degrees and below. And from there onwards, there are multiple levels of check. More than 29 checks are being done for the milk. And finally, when it reaches our plant, again, the same checks are done. So multiple levels of checks are done at various plant levels as well. Only the milk which is satisfying this criteria is accepted at our plants. Once that milk is taken into our system, very strict temperature maintenance of the milk is being done. And then our CQA and quality teams ensure that the product which is made out of this milk is also meeting the standards, and our standards are very, very rigorous. None of any quality issue is arrested at the plant level, and we do not permit that to go into the market. Very, very important thing is post transportation of this product from our plant to the market. Again, the cold chain is strictly monitored, and we have trackers which are available, in which temperature monitoring is being done on a regular basis. Based on that, only our products are being delivered to the customer. So Mother Dairy is making sure that the customer today is getting the product at the right temperature and the right quality.
Also, let's discuss about export opportunity for India's milk and dairy industry. Mr. Sodhi, I understand several Indian players are already exporting milk and milk products to the global market, but do you see a more opportunity to perhaps increase export of milk products into the global market for India?
See, till now, Indian dairy market or the brands were mainly catering to the domestic demand because it was
growing tremendously, especially in the organized sector, because whereas the milk production or consumption was growing at a rate of 5 to 6%, the organized sector is growing at a double digit, around 10 to 12%.
But the way
Our
milk production is growing, in the next 10, 23 years, I feel with the present consumption trend continues, we may not be able to absorb or consume all the milk which our farmers will produce within India. If I give you a figure, like today, if we are producing 240 million metric tons, another 25 years will be producing around 628 million metric tons. I mean, same rate of growth of around 4.5 to
5%. And if today consumption is whatever we are producing, and it is a per capita availability is around 460 gram per person per day, we feel in 25 years, this consumption will grow to around 850 gram per person per day. So if you multiply this with the population which will be having of 1.65 billion people by 2047, we shall be having around 100 million metric ton extra milk.
That milk, if we do not export out of India, the price being paid to the farmers will crash because of surplus availability in India. So first thing is this, that is India has to grow in the dairy the way we have been growing in the last 50 years. We need to develop our export market. If you see today, India is a very small player, around $275 million export is there.
And that mainly out of that 60% is ghee and butter. Another around 27% is SMP, and remaining 10-11% is paneer. And the countries which we are presently selling or exporting more, basically USA is one of the largest importer, UAE, all the neighboring countries around India, whether Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and other thing, and Singapore and other Southeast countries. So we have to see how India can become dairy to the world, because, and fortunately,
India's geographical location is very good. The proximity to the dairy importing countries, be it China, Russia, Southeast countries, all are dependent on dairy import.
So we have to see how we can improve the quality, technology, and also can promote the right product for these countries. And one product which I feel has got immense opportunity from India for import is the ghee. Because with the spread of yoga all over the world, suddenly ghee has become very famous. So what is required is, like we say, ki olive oil from the Italy or canola oil from Canada, ghee from India can become a big export product, and which can give us a lot of export value. But definitely there are certain, I mean, not bottlenecks, there are certain difficulties we need to face. I mean, lot of countries are not allowing dairy from import from India, like China, Russia, or other people. So we have to go for export protocols for these countries, allow import from India. And also we have to improve the quality of our dairy products and the processes.
Understood. So that's as far as export opportunity is concerned. But Manish, coming back to you, if you can take us through how demand for milk and other dairy products is shaping up in India over the last few years, and if you can split that up for us, rural versus urban, how is demand evolving now?
See, dairy as a sector is seeing multiple explosion on demand in the last a few years. If I see the overall growth of mother dairy itself, in the last 4 years, we have grown from around 10,000 crores to last year, we closed at 17,000 plus crores. We have grown by over 65% in terms of revenue. And that is on the backbone of dairy. Dairy is one of the mainstay business that we have besides edible oils and fruits and vegetables. So we have been growing exponentially in the last 4 years, 5 years. And this is because the customer is definitely asking for quality products. They are shifting from unorganized to organized sector. The unorganized sector, which used to be around 30%, 32% in 2021, 22, has been growing steadily in terms of share. And I think in the next 10 years, this share of organized sector will go to 50% in the Indian dairy sector, which is a very good thing for the consumers, because that is where the customers are demanding a good quality product. Also, the taste profile of the Indian customer is very typical. They would prefer the same taste which they typically make at home being delivered to them through organized sector. And I think that is what is important for the dairy companies to do. In terms of rural and urban, I think today the rural customer is consuming milk at the village level itself. If you talk about the village customer, production actually is getting consumed at the village level itself. So they retain that milk at the village level and for their self-consumption. Most of the demand from the rural sector is coming from value-added products and not milk, is what our reading is.
Manish and Mr. Sodhi, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now and discussing what the outlook is for India's milk and dairy industry.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.